You're good to go, Francine.
Hi, good evening, everybody. This is the August 9th, 2023 meeting of the Salem Public Library Advisory Board. And I'd like to ask, with your permission, to add a couple of things to the agenda. One is I'd like to move the report from the Salem Heritage Willamette Heritage Center to the information area of our agenda. And are there any objections to that? Okay, somebody want to say, okay, hearing no objections.
Move to make a change to the agenda.
And anyways, do we have a second? Lois seconds, and all in favor, put your thumbs up. Okay, that's approved. And the other thing for discussion items, I'd like to also mention the book pack drive being done by the CASA, and for and I'd like to add that to discussion items. Okay. All right, so our first thing would be minutes. And we did not approve the minutes at our last meeting because we didn't have a quorum. So will there are corrections from the Wednesday, May 19th meeting to those minutes. Does anybody have any corrections? Okay, I have them in front of me, and the members present for that meeting listed Catherine Daniels and Stephen Rosen, both of whom have been off lab for a year. So I'd like to have the members present corrected for the May 10th meeting to reflect the current lab. So because those people were not put there, and for the members absent, Jackie Long actually was excused for that meeting, and that's not noted there.
We didn't receive notice, Francine. We didn't receive an email or anything.
She sent me an email months before that, so if that would count towards an excused absence, please convey that, or please.
If you can forward that email to me, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, I'll have to look for it. It's way back in like February or something. Okay, so is there any other additions or deletions from the May 10th lab meeting? So all in favor of the minutes as amended, please.
We need to have a motion.
Okay, you want to make it?
Yeah, I move that we accept the meeting, the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Thumbs up?
Aye.
Okay. And thanks for suffering through that. Okay, so first of all, we have two new members, one of whom is actually in
Madam Chair, did we want to talk?
Joined us. Matt Jobson is good. Excuse me, David.
Yeah, did you want to approve the June minutes as well? I know they're draft, but
I didn't see them, but okay.
I thought Claire's just sent those out. So
Yeah, they're on the website. They've been on the website.
I must have missed that. Okay.
Yeah, the only change I would make, Madam Chair, is just let folks know that my last name is spelled with a Y, not an I. So she can make that change.
Okay. Okay, so all So can I make the motion to approve the minutes as amended? Is there a second? Is there someone
I'll
second that?
second.
All right. All those in favor, give a thumbs up. All right, so we got through the hard stuff. Okay, now for the true meeting here, the fun. So we have two new members on our board, which is really exciting because I was not certain if either one of them would be able to attend tonight, as Valerie Harris and is in Colorado, and Matt Jobson is actually in an airplane. So Matt, would you like to introduce yourself and say a little bit about yourself first, so we can so we have your connection?
Yeah, my name's Matt Jobson. I just moved to Oregon about 2 years ago, Salem 1 year ago. I'm a nurse practitioner at Salem Health and Vascular Surgery. My family has always used public libraries, so we're huge supporters. I'm excited to be here.
Great. There was a nice write-up in Salem Reporter about both of you. And now Valerie, would you please introduce yourself and give a little background?
Yes, I'm Valerie Harris. I'm very excited to be on this board. I'm currently the vice chair of the Salem Multicultural Institute board, which is the World Beat Festival. That's how I know Gretchen, and I knew Joe. In fact, they both reached out to me and said, please join this library board. It'd be perfect for you. I get to stay home with my kids, which I love very much. I have one going into high school and one going into 4th grade. They're both in the dual language program in West Salem, and I volunteer a lot in the library and at the school. I'm on the OBOB volunteer committee, and I write questions. And so I love books and I love the library. So I'm just very excited to be here.
Great. That's great. Okay, so Clarissa, did we receive any public comment?
There was no public comment.
Okay, so now we're on to information items, and the first is the Teen Advisory Board. Riley, is that you for?
Yes, that is me. Can you hear me? Awesome. All right. Well, hi, I'm Riley Hurt. I use she, her pronouns. I've actually graduated high school and I'm headed off to college. And I am here to present a few things that we've got going. We recently interviewed 8 new candidates, and a panel of 6 of our current board members were interviewing all of those candidates, and each of those candidates offered great insights to our program and had a lot of strengths. We ended up only choosing 5 because we only have 5 openings, and they are invited to join the board in the beginning of September. We are waiting for all of them to accept the invitation, and so we aren't saying who they are quite yet. Tab members will be helping to host a Find Your Voice summer party for teens on Friday, August 11th. This is the last big program for the summer 2023, and it will involve a fashion show, open mic, karaoke, snacks, games, crafts, and more. Thank you.
Sonia, can you give us an update on the teen internships, please?
Oh, I can do better. We have one of the teen interns with us who would love to introduce themselves and tell you a little about what they're doing.
Yeah, hi, I'm Oliver Kirchner. I use they, them pronouns. I just graduated from South Salem High School this past year, and I will be off to college majoring in English with a concentration in writing this fall. So I have been really grateful to have this internship this summer, and I feel like I've learned a lot through helping with all of the different children's and teens programs and helping to manage all of the collections here. And for my connected learning project will be launching this Friday at the Find Your Voice summer reading party. And it's a display that will explores different ways that people choose to define themselves and asks them to respond to a few prompts with either like words or pictures.
Thank you. How much longer will the internship be for you?
I have just over a week left.
And the total number of weeks has been how many?
I'm
9.
9, thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Oliver.
And then we'll still have Catherine through the end of the month. So Catherine started a little bit later because of some obligations to Willamette Academy. And so she'll be continuing her internship through the 30th, I think.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the chair report.
I
And
think Lois may have had a question.
oh, Lois, I'm sorry. Any other questions?
Oh, I didn't have a question, but so since many people weren't here at the last meeting, I did have the opportunity to sit in on the interviews for the intern positions, and it was a great experience. I think there were like 85 applicants, and we interviewed, was it 17, Sonia, something like that? And all of these young people were just so great to listen to, and so many of them had, as younger children, been involved with the children's reading program, and it was like the second generation, that they wanted to be involved with it again. And I think we picked 2 great people, and we probably could have picked a whole bunch more, but it was, I think it's something I would like to see the lab do again.
Okay, so any other questions or comments regarding the internship or tab? Okay, so let's move on to the chair's report. So on July 24th at the city council meeting, Matthew Jobson and Valerie Harris were approved by the city council. They were on the agenda for approval by the city council to be on lab. So I decided to use that as an opportunity to go to city council and say, you have this on your agenda, and I'd like to thank you for your support of things that the lab has felt were important to your constituents. And it was the quickest 3 minutes of my entire life. I thought it went so fast. And I was so grateful to Vanessa Nordyke, who said that she wanted to ask me some questions. And one of her questions was, what else were you going to tell us that you didn't have time for? It was perfect. And so, I also explained that we have provided a continuity that is kind of been during my time on the lab since 2018. There have been 3 city librarians. There's been a reorganization in city administration, taking the public library and moving it out of community development and creating this whole new community services. And so I felt like we provide some continuity that that people who are going to be in leadership can count on us, and also so we can advocate for things about the library. I also explained how excited they should be about the many things that the library's accomplished, the on-target renovation, the new bookmobile, programming for all ages, literacy, outreach, teen scene, great staff, and the reservable study, reading, and meeting rooms. And and also the change in the parking and the overdue fine policies that their support was necessary for. So, and just explained a few of the things that the lab has supported specifically contributing towards the Take What You Need program, contributing towards the intern, the summer intern this year, and also participating in interviews and in the Coragio's library strategic plan that was put together in 2022. So I thought, well, you know, some of the other boards like SPRAB, which is the Parks and Recreation Board, and Center 50 have actually been on their agenda, and we have not been on as an agenda item. So I thought using their approval of our two new people gave me kind of a little edge to get in there and speak to them about the lab. And I was excited for that. And I'm so glad that Lois was there in the background, because if there were any questions specifically about budget or other things, I really felt comfortable with her being right behind me. She had my back, so to speak, both literally and also figuratively. So, okay. So the other thing is I have reached out to the the Friends and the Salem Public Library Foundation has reached out to us, and I've reached out to the Salem Friends in an effort to try to reconnect some of the things that used to be pretty part of the lab. So there'll be some activities that David and I and Lois will be meeting with them to see what we can do to strengthen, to repopulate our interactions, which have kind of gone fallow, I think, over the past year or so. So, okay, so City Library, did anybody have any questions?
No, just thank you for making that presentation to the city council. I think that was effective, and I'm glad to get some good feedback from it. So thank you.
Oh, and also Scott Archer, who's the deputy city manager for community services, was at that city council meeting. And subsequently, I found out how to get a hold of his scheduler, and I'll be meeting with him with David and Lois in a couple of weeks. So we are, we want to partner with them and with that department, and I think now's the time to start. He's been in the job for several months, and I think it's time for to us to kind of be more visible. Okay. All right. So do we have the city librarian's report?
Yeah, so we have a brand new staff member who joined us, our senior librarian, Christy Kemper Hodge. We've had our customer experience supervisor interviews the last 2 days and had some really great applicants. We have been having some wonderful programming. There's our summer reading is coming to an end, our summer reading challenge. You can see some of our updated numbers in the report, but we've seen a large increase from last year's to this year, and over 2 million minutes read. I think we had over 60% more people sign up and actually engage with the reading program. So it's been a very, very great success, a very busy summer. And we had wonderful displays of the tiny art show, which was really great to see so many submissions. Carol Brugerbert is the one who handled that whole program, and just the response and the submissions were really creative from all age ranges, from I believe it was like 1st grade up to 8th grade. Some of the things that we're looking forward to is we have the language exchange program that's going really well. Our Exploring Together program, where we're going to be learning the power of representation and voting, as well as our regular popular story times and lots more, very busy calendar. The strategic plan group met again and they forwarded us their suggestions of what they would like to see, changes within the organization and outside things, which are listed in the librarian's report. So the leadership team will be looking at those and seeing what we can implement.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So in terms of the summer reading program, it's great. The numbers are up. Are we looking at pre-COVID numbers now, or are we there yet? Do you know?
Yeah, so last year in 2022 was definitely kind of like people were coming out, you know, some were still not coming to the library, not feeling safe yet. So I think now we're seeing the pre-COVID numbers. I don't think it's as high, and Sonia can kind of chime in if she has because I don't have those numbers, but I believe we're starting to see the numbers that we used to hit before 2020.
Getting pretty close. Okay, thank you.
You want to know how many people did the summer reading challenge? I would be happy to tell you. So I checked this earlier today. So we had 3,763 people sign up. And of those, we have seen just under 2,000 engage in the program so far. So we still have time for people to you know, do the thing and put in their hours and things, but that's a very high rate of activity. So our sign up numbers are still a little bit behind where we were pre-move out and pre-pandemic, but what we're seeing is a larger percentage of those people staying engaged and actually participating in the program. So what we've kind of cut out are the signups that result in like that being the last action that people take around the program. So we've got very similar numbers in terms of who's, you know, filling in those hours and getting their reading done and logging and coming in for their prizes and doing all that engagement. So it's pretty exciting.
So the overall numbers are a bit down, but the level of participation of those that are involved is higher as a percentage.
Exactly.
What I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's where we've got very comparable numbers, is the number of people who actually do the program.
That's great.
So
Thank
we
you.
kind of think that's a win.
That is a win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Bridget at this point? Okay, so so the Friends I contacted Friends, reached out to them because we haven't heard from them in quite a while. And I just within moments ago, I received an email from Carol Volmer, and she indicated that they now have 4 new board members on the Salem Friends of the Public Library, but they are open to they have open positions. And if anyone here is interested in more volunteer roles, their website, there's an application on their website. She said that they're doing well with donations. Donations are over the top. And right now they're posting for the Friends bookstore manager position. And she said they're posting widely, reaching out for that to be filled. So one thing I wanted to ask Clarissa is, when you send out the announcements for the meetings, do you include the foundation and Friends in that to the people who you send the Zoom link to and the announcement of the meetings?
So the call for agenda is just for the lab members,
Okay,
because you guys have Gretchen as the liaison, and then also Carol, since she's the currently the person that, and then I send a message to Carol as well.
okay, so you do. All right. And I want to make an observation, and I think this will link in later with our discussion of in-person versus Zoom. but I went back to look at some prior meetings, and it seems to me that when we were meeting in person, we were getting more from Foundation and friends actually coming to our meetings. So I just want to put that out there. It's certainly for the friends that we were having, usually we were seeing somebody from friends at every meeting, and we haven't heard from them in quite a while. So I just want to bring that up as related to our subsequent discussion of about when we meet on Zoom and when we meet in person. Okay, so now the foundation report should, Bridget, you were going to bring up the, as an agenda item under discussion, Gretchen's resignation and the election. Do you want to do that at this point, or do we bring it up during the discussion?
I'm sorry, Francine,
You couldn't hear me?
no, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm just wondering when we should bring up the item of the liaison from lab to the Salem Foundation. the library foundation.
If you want to just, if you want to go ahead and do that now, and then also announce the elections, yeah, that would be great.
Okay, great. Okay, so Gretchen, did you want to tell us something?
Well, I need to resign from the foundation as liaison, but remain as a lab member.
Thank you for remaining, and thank you for the time, the many hours you spent with establishing, putting the art up in the library, the many tens of hours that you spent, weeks and weeks.
Well, working with the foundation board is just, well, great fun, but it's a wonderful group and they do wonderful work. And so it's been an honor to work with them.
Okay, so this position is not like a chair appointed position, but rather an election. And are there nominations for someone to be in this position?
Can I nominate?
Yes.
Sarah.
Okay, are there any other?
Chair,
Okay, so are there any other?
Francine, I think Mark is trying to say something.
Chair, can I make a recommendation here since the resignation just occurred? You can certainly take nominations in this meeting as well. My recommendation though, Chair, is that you need to announce when the election is going to be. And I would also hold the nomination process open at least until the next meeting, in case people who aren't present at this meeting want to be considered being nominated, or people who want time to consider it have that opportunity. So opening them and having some nominations at this time is fine, but I would encourage you, Chair, to leave those open and at least until the next meeting prior to the election.
Okay, well, on the other hand, we do have all the lab members here, except for Denise, who actually sent me an email today that she's resigning from lab. So we do have everybody here, and we have wanted to take care of this piece of business for a period of time. We were unable to do it at the last meeting because we didn't have a quorum, and Gretchen was unavailable for that meeting. So if it's not a requirement that we do that, I would prefer, as chair, to proceed with moving the nomination, which has been second, of Sarah Clovis Bishop to the position of liaison from lab to the Salem Public Library Foundation.
Or you cannot hold the election today per your bylaws. They have to be at the next meeting after the resignation is announced. So the election can occur at this meeting. So my recommendation would be that you leave those nominations open at least until the next meeting, and you can certainly close the nominations at that point and hold the elections at the same meeting, as long as you announce when those elections are going to be during this meeting. That would be my recommendation, but per your bylaws, you have to wait until the next meeting after the announcement of the resignation in order to hold the election. So that's my recommendation.
Mark, can you tell me where in the bylaws it says that? Because I don't find it.
If you give me just a moment, I'll point that to you.
Because for one thing, nominations can be made from the floor, so it's not like nominations have to be held open for a certain amount of time.
And just, well, Mark, while you're looking at it,
It says in Article 3, Officers, Section 8, vacancies in office, which just occurred now based on the announcement of the resignation. And I'm assuming, Chair, that you've accepted the resignation. Vacancy in office shall be filled by vote at the next regular meeting of the board after the vacancy occurs. So this is when the vacancy has occurred. The next regular meeting of the board will be September something or other. And that's when the elections should occur for the bylaws, Article 3, Section 8.
But Gretchen resigned in like July or June.
We've reviewed, I've not found, and we've reviewed previous recordings. If someone wants to point to a meeting that we should look at, I know staff, and Clarissa, you can tell me if you feel differently, have not found a public announcement officially resigning from that position. There was a discussion of what she does in the foundation, but we did not see, and not trying to be confrontational, anything that would constitute a statement such as this saying, I'm resigning from this position.
Correct. I reviewed the minutes as well with Mark, and there wasn't anything. I mean, I think the communication had been via email, but it had to have been on a live meeting, which it wasn't. David.
Mark, this is David. Just point of clarification. So if I understand correctly, we got the announcement that she's resigning. You're suggesting that we formally wait until the next meeting to actually vote on a candidate. But could we take nominations now, close the nominations, and then formally have the vote at our September meeting?
Can you? Yes. The whole purpose of open public meetings is so that everyone's on the same page, everyone has the same opportunity, everyone has the same period of time to consider things. How will I put it? You, the board, have a better background on this. If you feel that the board has known this was coming and there was ample periods of time for everyone on the board to consider whether or not they wanted to do this, that's a decision for you to make. My recommendation would be, and it's a recommendation, can you take nominations, close nominations, and have the election at the next meeting? You can. You can also take nominations now, hold the nominations open, have any additional nominations be heard at the next meeting, close nominations, and have the elections at the next meeting as well. There's no harm in doing that either. So if you want to promote people having as much opportunity to decide whether or not they want to run for this position, that would be one way of doing it as well. That's your decision as a board to make how you wish to do that. There's nothing preventing you from opening and closing the nominations at this time. But you do, as I see it, need to wait until at least you need to have it at the next regular meeting, the vote itself,
Okay.
which you can close and vote at the same meeting.
Okay, I think that the board members have had ample time to know about Gretchen's resignation, and I would say that we should close the nominations tonight and then vote as you've recommended at the September 13th meeting. Okay, so
So there's a motion to accept. We've got one candidate. Are there any other candidates?
Sarah, is that a position you want?
Yeah, it is a position I want, but I also want to know if we can appoint someone as an interim liaison for this next month, so that we have some continuity between Gretchen's resignation and the election.
yes,
I think that's a good idea.
if
Yeah, I
that's
think
in my
holding the election and nominations open until the next month sounds okay to me, but I think it's helpful that we have someone connecting us with the foundation for the next month.
yes, if that's in my authority, that's what I would like to do, to appoint Sarah Bishop as the interim liaison to the Salem Public Library Foundation. And then we will take up elections as recommended on September 13th. Okay.
Oh, are you moving that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'll second it.
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that nominations be closed for the liaison position.
Can someone second that, please?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Okay, anyone opposed? Nope. So both motions carry.
And then we'll vote on this at our next regular scheduled meeting, which is in September.
Okay, so the other thing on information items is on the Willamette Heritage Foundation. They are required to provide a 6 monthly report to us, and it is included in your packet. Kylie Pyle reports that progress is made on the Salem Online History Transfer Project. She indicates she hasn't made as much headway as she'd wished in working on the logo and design revisions, in part because they've been working on some really great programming at the museum, and that'll be able to be utilized in the site as it's moving forwards. So it includes a walking tour celebrating the lives of pioneering Black Salem residents Albert and Marianne Bayless, and some new interpretive panels celebrating the life of George Laysoon and family and Salem's Chinatown, which I've had an opportunity to visit and I thought was terrific. So that is part of her 6 monthly report. I did put a question to her about why is there going to be a link on the Salem Public Library's website to this hub, and I have not received a response. So that's something that I will continue to pursue. Okay, any questions regarding the Willamette Heritage Foundation's report that was submitted? Okay.
One comment though, she did say some of the great progress is this course at Willamette that's going to happen this fall with Professor Eisenberg. And I can give a huge thumbs up to that. I've been registering students for that course this summer and just think that's going to be a great addition to this project.
Excellent. Okay. So let's see. We are getting to discussion items. We've covered the new member introduction. Now, I recommended, because I didn't think that Matt was able to attend tonight. And I knew that if he was in transit on a plane, maybe sitting through the public meetings law might be better done at an in-person meeting. So, and I think Bridget was going to bring that up with you, Mark. What was your thoughts on that?
That discussion was not had with me, but if that's something that the board wishes to do, I'm more than happy to come make my presentation in person, as long as I don't recall where the lab meets when you meet. I think when I was attending the lab, when it was in person, in my previous role as advisor to the lab, it was actually pre-renovations to the library. So I'm kind of excited to come in and see what they've done with it. It used to be this really small room, kind of on the same level by where the executive offices were. But as long as there's the technology to be able to do a PowerPoint presentation, I'm more than happy to do that. It would be my preference, if we're not going to do it tonight, that we either do it in September or October, depending on, and either one of those is fine with me. Then you start getting into the holidays and things like that. And I think there's 1 or 2 months during the year that you don't actually have a meeting. In either September, there's no rush. Either September or October is fine.
Yeah, September is currently on our agenda for meeting in person. So, and we do meet at the library, and the room is well equipped for video, PowerPoint. So let's plan for that for September. That would be great.
September, what?
I believe it's the 13th is the,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look at my schedule, and if for some reason the September meeting doesn't work when I'm working with Bridget and Clarissa, then we'll definitely do it in the October meeting. It'll be one of the two coming up.
thank you for your flexibility on that. Okay.
Of course, of course. And then with that in mind, I'm here mainly for that agenda item, but was glad I was here to clarify the issue regarding the elections. And I hope, Lois, that I did answer your question as to where my interpretation regarding it needing to occur one meeting came from. Unless there's anything else that any of the board members have for me, Chair, I'm going to step out of the meeting at this point, and we will do the presentation at a subsequent time.
Thank you very much. Yeah. David?
Nope. Thank you very much, Mark. Sorry. Yep.
Of course. It was a pleasure meeting most of you. I think Lois is the only one it's a familiar face from previous times or in boards and stuff, but pleasure meeting you all. I'll see you either next month or October.
Okay. Now, Bridget, you were going to talk about the payroll tax.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of update you all that currently due to the payroll tax there, and it's actually going to go to the next one. It has put a hold on the city librarian posting and recruitment. Currently, our executive leadership team is focusing all their time, energy on that tax and seeing mostly like budget stuff and kind of seeing where we're going to go from here. There is a possibility that we're going to be asked to reduce our budgets, and so that's going to impact library services. So that was my update for the city library hiring as well as a payroll tax.
Thank you. Any questions for Bridget on that?
Yeah, this is David. Is there a general hold on all positions at the library right now, or just on the library director?
Currently, since the recruiting the city librarian does involve a lot of the upper leadership, it's just for that one.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Bridget?
Is there something we as a lab can do to help advocate for this at this point? Maintaining our budget?
Currently, I mean, what I would recommend is if you go to any of the city council meetings, and if public comment really does help. Just kind of, I think with the payroll tax, it was really focused on how it would help police and fire, but they kind of glossed over the fact that if there's no funds, and we're still at a deficit, they're gonna look at the current budget and see what changes need to be made. And unfortunately, a lot of the community services are part of those services because it's not a necessity, it's more of it's great to have. I do feel that our leadership supports us and sees they see the value of community services, and they're going to do their best to ensure that there is no change in operations. But with that huge deficit, I know that they're going to have to make some choices.
Thank you.
What we've been told in the past, and maybe it's too bad that Mark did sign off, is that since we are a city board, as a board, we can't speak in favor or not in favor of the tax when it comes, or if it comes to a vote. It may come to a vote, but my understanding is that as individual citizens, we can advocate for funding, and there's no reason why the Friends or the foundation could not take this up and advocate for funding.
Thank you.
I think at a time where the data has shown how much a drop there's been in reading and math scores, especially in the elementary grades as a consequence of COVID. And, there's an imperative there for programs that support early learning and that support access to libraries. So we definitely, when we speak with Scott Archer, which is actually I think the next topic on the agenda, I think that we will try to pull that into the those facts into the discussion. And I wonder, does anyone have any additional thoughts on when we meet with Scott Archer, the director of the deputy city manager for community services, which the library is now under? Any other, if you have any thoughts in that regard, David, Lois, and I would like to hear those.
So could you explain? I don't know, Francis or staff could explain. So my understanding was that the tax was approved by the council in June in July with an effective date of next July. I know that there's a lot of conversation, locally of where that's going to go, but my understanding was that it is going through. Is that why? I mean, is there still some? I guess that's why I'm unclear why there's, for example, a hold on the librarian if the cities decide to go ahead and move on that.
Well, there's a petition right now that has been signed by at least 10,000 people against it.
Well, to bring it to a vote.
Yeah.
That's what the petition.
To vote. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just have the council. The council, it was a close vote.
But it hasn't. But I guess it hasn't been approved. The vote hasn't been certified yet that it's going to happen. So at this point, it's still going forward next July. Or is there still? Is there? I guess question is there something I'm missing? I know that there's a potential vote out there, but is there something I'm missing as of now? That's.
Well, I think it is on hold now until, well, for one thing, if there was not a petition, it was not going to go into effect until 2024 anyway.
July,
but now that these petitions have been filed, they are now you know, making sure that all the, you know, the signatures are valid and all that kind of stuff. And if they are, I think they have to have, I want to say like 4,000. If they have enough signatures, then it will go to a vote. So it is on hold, so to speak, now.
Until the votes, until they count the number. Okay, got it. Okay.
Right.
So is the fiscal 23-24, like the fiscal year began July 1st, right? And it goes to June 30th. Is that fiscal year in jeopardy? Or is it the 24-25? July 1st, 2024, beginning the next fiscal year? Is that?
This fiscal budget has been approved.
Yeah.
But it can be modified.
Ah, okay. That's what, all righty.
Okay.
Understanding. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, because that was confusing to me. Okay, so Scott Archer, so I think we will definitely have that as one of the topics. Does anyone else have any ideas for the Scott Archer meeting?
I have a couple, but you know, I can just talk to you about them, but I guess I should bring them up. That I would like to talk to that person, Scott, about our role in the hiring process of the city librarian. I think we should have a piece in that. I also want to talk to him about funding, because we are one of the lowest per capita funded libraries, I think, in the state. Those are two of the big ones right there.
Okay, thank you. All right, so advocacy for funding, have we covered that in our other discussions? Would you say that's the next thing on the discussion items?
Well, that I put that and library support boards meeting. They kind of overlap. So if that's okay with you, Francine, I'll just kind of talk about those.
Please.
Okay. I happened to listen to a city council meeting, which I don't usually do because I don't know, they're not that exciting. But anyway, I happened to listen to one where they were talking about the budget for the city for the coming year, and two city councilors plus a person from the Realtor Foundation or Association in Salem all mentioned that the library hours could be cut and library funding could be cut. And that really concerned me because, as we all know, our library is super underfunded. And for two counselors and another group of the city to, you know, promote this, I was kind of flabbergasted. So I was thinking about, you know, what we can do about that. And one thing is what Bridget, is it Bridget or Bridget? I'm sorry. What Bridget? Mm-hmm. One of the things Bridget talked about was, and what Francine did, is going to the city council and, you know, kind of saying, like, these are the things we do. You know, we have 3,000 people signed up for the community, for the summer reading program. I mean, that's kind of big stuff. And we don't have to be on the agenda to do that. We can submit public comment anytime. So then my second thought is that we have 3 support boards for the library, which is the foundation, and we have a person on that. I mean, Sarah will be at the next meeting, and we will elect her or someone to continue to be on that board. We have the Friend and we have us. And I feel like we've been talking ever since I came on the lab board, which is way too long, like 7 years ago, that the 3 boards should meet and like, I don't know, like devise a, first of all, just talk to each other and see what each other's, priorities are. And then maybe think of a way to, like, we could kind of organize together or have somebody, each, well, I'm not going to go into what we could do. I really think we need a meeting of the 3 boards. I think it's really imperative, and especially if this tax does not pass. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I would like to see it happen. I have talked to someone on the Library Foundation that I met through the strategic planning, David Gunderson or something. What is it?
Gutterman.
I'm sorry. Yeah, David Gutterman. And he seemed very open to the idea. He's just one person, but it's time to do this. So I don't know if I need to make a motion or anything, but we will be talking to the foundation director in a couple, next week. So there you go. So what do other people think? Do they think that's a good idea or what?
I think it's a wonderful idea and should be done.
I agree, and I will definitely bring it up in my interim role with the foundation.
Great. And Lois, I went back through some old meeting minutes, and when I first got on lab in 2018, that was talked about. I found it but I also think COVID and also our switch to the Zoom meetings has really impacted those relationships. And I'm hoping that we can begin to repair and restore it.
I agree. And I remember it being discussed when I came on.
Right. Great.
I didn't mention this either, that David Gutterman also said that he knew somebody who might be a good facilitator to help the 3 boards kind of come to a strategy or, something. So
That's
that would be, and if we had to, I think we could put some money into the meeting, and if we have to pay a facilitator, whatever we need to do to make it happen.
Okay. Right. So any further discussion of the advocacy funding and the boards, 3 boards collaborating? Okay.
Well, Madam Chair, just for the record, obviously we can't advocate necessarily, but we can educate. And I think that's what Lois is trying to do.
And, I would like, in preparation for the meeting with Scott Archer, Bridget, I tried to follow that link about what it translates to as far as like, if people had to buy those books and pay for subscriptions, there's a link that you put in your report, and I went to that and it didn't open up, but I think that is a very powerful thing. In fact, I use the Washington County Library System a lot, and it actually prints out on your receipt how much, like the book that you've borrowing, how much it saved you, or how, yeah. I think those kinds of numbers really do give people in leadership position a cause to pause when they realize that the investment that they're making is actually huge compared the value of that is huge compared to what they've put into it. So if you have those numbers, I would love to have that available to make that point, because I think to me, I think it's really powerful and it's very compelling.
I'll check on that link and
Thank
make
you.
sure that it's working.
Please, thank you so much. So the next thing is the meeting schedule. So Mark mentioned there's some months we don't meet. So according to the schedule, we usually do not meet in December and June. And I think that makes a lot of sense because appointments.
It's
to make-
actually July, with the exception
Oh,
of the
I'm-
last meeting.
I'm sorry, July, yeah. December and July. Thank you for that correction, Clarissa. And I think that's really appropriate because terms expire typically in June 30th. And then the council has usually on July is when it has its opportunity to actually put people into positions. So, so this year we were a little bit wobbly because I had that surgery on the, June date. So we pushed it to the July meeting and then we didn't have a quorum. So those are the 2 months that we don't meet. We have met when we've had to in the past. We've called extra meetings, but that's the typical is 10 meetings a year. Last year we made a decision to meet in person in September, January, and May, those 3 months. And I'm wondering if people have given any thought to a couple of the people who it was very important to them to have remote meetings are no longer on the board. So I wanted to bring it forward for discussion, maybe at our September meeting to take a vote to think about it between now and then, and our September meeting to get a sense if people want to stick with that schedule or make a change. It's a time where we could make a change. So between now and then, if you think about the second Wednesday of every month at 5:30, usually it's an hour meeting, and we typically have it at the main library, although we have met once in West Salem, which was, just a different venue. I think that's all I need to say on that. And then in September, there's elections for chair and vice chair. I actually go off the board in June, the end of June, and I am hoping that you'll think about who you want to nominate for those positions, either yourself or someone else, and be ready in September so that we can have an election that for the vice chair and chair positions for the September, starting for the October meeting. Okay, so anybody want to comment on that? So I brought up about I didn't know if people as individuals wanted to do this or whether we as a lab wanted to do this, but I saw in the Salem Reporter that the Back to School Supply Drive, which is run by the court-appointed special advocates, CASA of Marion County, which actually Vanessa Nordyke is the executive director of CASA, that they are soliciting donations of either money or schools through DHS and school supplies, which they've listed what kind of school supplies they need. And these are specifically for kids who are in foster care. So I didn't know, if anybody wants information on how they personally can do that, just email me and I'll send you this, this information. Or I don't know if the group wants to consider lab making either a financial contribution or a supplies contribution in lab's name to CASA for these school supplies. But I'm interested in doing it, and I think otherwise you realize I probably wouldn't have brought it up. But I also think that I think it shows the community, and particularly people like Vanessa Nordyke, who's a city councilor and has this position, that we are interested in a broader support of learning. And so that's all I'm going to say on that. I don't know if you want to have a discussion of it, or someone wants to go motion. David?
Yeah, I would just add, it sounds like a great project. I would encourage CASA, and we can let them know to, fill out our application, and we can take a look at it at our September meeting.
Okay. Yeah, there is a September 6th is actually, supplies need to be dropped off by September 6th. I don't know if we could, within our, whatever our rules are, how we could facilitate that. No, we can't, under the public meetings law, we can't make this decision.
They'd have to come to us in September, and we could take a look at it.
Okay, I will pass that on to her. In the meantime, if anybody wants information on how they personally can do that, and perhaps mention in their donation that they came knowledgeable about it at this meeting, so that we do get that opportunity to showcase our interest in learning, please let me know and I'll pass the information along.
So, we could do that tonight. It's only the elections and this cancel, this resignation thing that has to be at the next meeting. But I would like, I think it's a really good project. But what people have said to me when I have tried to use funds from the lab for other things is that this money was donated to our Salem Public Library to be used for the library, or like, like for the strategic planning thing that would affect our library. That's kind of what we use our funds for, or like giving money to the teen advisory board for their programs and things. So might want to think about that.
Yeah, I thank you for that clarification. That had, whoops, slid right by me. So, okay. Well, anyway, if you personally want to feel so moved, I can pass that. Just email me and I'll individually send you that information. Okay, thank you. Thanks for that clarification. That's why I'm so glad you had my back at that council meeting. Lois, thank you. Okay, so this was a long meeting. Thank you all for your interest. Thank you particularly Valerie and Matt for your presence, which is really, really appreciated. I'm really thankful that you were here, and I hope we see you both in person on September 13th. I believe the date is. Okay, so there'll be